So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues, dear friends. Welcome to the monthly webinars of the Local Government and Municipal Authorities Constituency, prepared and delivered by ICLAI, Local Government for Sustainability, in its capacity as the focal point of the LGMA constituency. My name is Yunus Sarıkan. I'm Director of Global Advocacy, and I am the LGMA focal point. Those who have been familiar with our webinars, these are recorded. These are later on uploaded in our YouTube channel. During the presentations, you can type in your questions or inputs into the chat box or QA box, but we prefer to have a dialogue after the webinars or the presentations. We, time to time, have guests in our webinars inside and outside the LGMA community. I'm delighted to inform you that today we will be joined by Mr. Elmar Mamadov, the COP29 presidency senior negotiator and co-lead on initiatives. He will be joining around the half an hour after the start of this webinar, as well as Lea Renalder from UN Habitat, who is supporting the COP29 presidency as well. And we would prefer that maybe we go through the slides with the agenda as indicated below, so that when Mr. Mamadov and uh, Lea joins us, we focus mainly on the topics that the presidency will be sharing. But we have two slides that explains this, so that it's like a preparation for you. I'm also happy that Mr. Mamadov will join in the afternoon slide along with his colleague Shahriyar Hajiev, as well as Lea will also be with us. In the morning session, for the LGMA messages towards COP29, my colleague Gökşen will be joining us from the drafting committee. And in the afternoon, our colleague Heloise from Regions 4 will be with us. So with that, I would like to kick off our agenda for today. As you have seen in the presentation, we will go through the background. Most of our participants we are familiar, but there are some names that is new to us. So it's better to keep all of us on the same page. Uh, you may remember we are having these webinars monthly, but in June, due to the heavy traffic of events, it was immediately after ICLAI World Congress in Sao Paulo. It was not possible for us to deliver the webinar in June. This means that this webinar will be covering both June and July updates as such. So we try to make it as much as possible comprehensive, but also focused that we can still stick to our 1 hour our time limitation. We will have one slide at the end of our presentation on the biodiversity updates. Our colleagues from Chile's Biodiversity Center are not able to join us today, but they have sent their inputs and their updates from their side. Um, we are the voice of towns, cities, regions, states, regional governments in the UNFCCC process since '95. LGMA is one of the three constituencies following the UN climate negotiations since Berlin at COP1. And we influence the negotiation agenda by our interventions and submissions. We support the action agenda by the high-level action champions, which is an innovation from the Paris Agreement. We collaborate obviously with the presidencies because they have their unique priorities. We try to make sure that those initiatives and priorities are consistent with our previous achievements or um, um, progress, so that there is a complementary in every cycle. And obviously, all the decisions in the negotiations are adopted in a consensus basis. Therefore, we're also working with all the parties, especially those friendly to multi-level action. And of course, since COP28, we have a bigger community, or we have a much more stronger community, 70 plus countries who are the endorser of the CHAMP initiative. So we are also working a lot with the national governments, their representatives for us. You can follow our webinars throughout the year. You will receive the links, as we said, after these webinars. But you can also follow us on our monthly bulletins. Those who are also members or participants of the networks of local governments, you can also join our email group or WhatsApp group. But we are a bit restricted. The webinars and bulletins are for public; everyone can receive it. But for emails and WhatsApp group, we try to restrict it to our LGMA partners, which is more than 50 networks of local and across the world. Um, space and 30 plus now. And considering what has been the progress, we can summarize it in four phases, let's say. The first phase was 92 to 97, the adoption of the negotiation, the convention, adoption of Kyoto Protocol, the kickoff of the COPs. This was a bit uh, disappointing for us because we have achieved through the legacy of Earth Summit a recognition of a constituency as LGMA, but the text of UNFCCC and Kyoto Protocol did not recognize us. So after this initial phase, there was a more or less a break around 7 to 10 years because there was no recognition or relevance to from the nation. While we were hosting our side events or our own summits, the leaders summits, municipal leaders summits, we were not involved in the negotiations directly. After the Bali roadmap kickoff in 2007, we started to roll out this campaign, Local Government Climate Roadmap, with a vision to make sure we are recognized, engaged, and empowered. The logic was that by Copenhagen, we wanted to be there as strong as possible. Obviously, this failed. This was not forward, but this was not successful. But especially LGMA said that we will support the multilateralism. We will not give up, and we will continue our efforts. And starting from Cancun until Paris Agreement, we have made numerous initiatives. And this concluded the Paris Agreement. In the preamble, we were recognized with the importance of all levels of government. Obviously, starting from this moment onwards, the number of initiatives inside the UNFCCC, outside the UNFCCC, exponentially grew, and we have also been involved in the Marrakesh Partnership, which is the action agenda. But we have developed our own processes. We have elevated from Friends of Cities to Friends of Multi-Level Action, from Covenant of Mayors, Compact of Mayors to Global Covenant of Mayors, and especially from Glasgow onwards, we have made the pavilions, multi-level action and urbanization pavilions, initiatives like Surge, urban and climate ministerials, which we have been asking since 2013, and the all these resulted in concrete achievements in the Glasgow Climate Pact, which is still a recognition in the preamble, urging for multi-level action. This was the first time multi-level action was in the UNFCCC document, and in Glasgow, sorry, in Sharm el Sheikh, sorry, in Dubai, COP28, we had the paragraph 161, which recognizes that the parties are urged for multi-level action, and the CHAMP initiative is part of this process. That's why we recognize Dubai as one of the most ambitious, most inclusive, and one of the most powerful for multi-level action. Ambitious in terms of the commitments, inclusive in terms of the mechanisms developed, as well as the inclusion of new topics that was not in the UN in the climate agenda, like nature, food, health, culture, and multi-level with the CHAMP initiative, paragraph 161, and 14 other paragraphs in the across UNEA consensus. So throughout this process, from the local climate action summit to urban ministerial to the negotiation outcome, LGMA, especially with in-person presence through the multi-level action and urbanization program, made sure that all these parallel tracks or independent processes help each other, and the outcome from one can be recognized as an input to the other. This is the slide that you have seen before, but this is the latest update as of July 2024. It includes mostly the new information from the COP29 presidency. So let's remember, Conference of Parties is an annual gathering, but it's also a process, a year throughout the year. Uh, they adopt decisions at the end of the year, and the country who hosts these talks or conferences are held accountable for the implementation. And then in the mid-year talks in Bonn, they hand over gradually the leadership to the incoming presidency. When the next COP is opened in the first day, the first agenda item, they adopt or they elect officially the president of the COP, which has been on until that time president designate an incoming presidency. With the adoption of this decision, then it becomes the new president, and the previous president uh, gives full responsibility to the new one. Obviously, there's a transition between this with with June talks, Bonn conference, but over the past couple of years, informal meetings like in Copenhagen, in Berlin, and pre-COP meetings are the mechanisms that also support this informal, so that ministers and constituencies have interactions between each other. Uh, since Dubai, we have this new mechanism called Mission 1.5, the troika of the three COP presidencies. This is mainly for COP30 NDC. It is a very limited initiative. It is a very specific, and they are aiming to support the processes, but it has its own mechanics. In the presidency's program in COP28, we had an advisory board. Mayor of Makati City was part of that. Now, in the COP29 presidency, we have Mukhtar Babayev as the president designate. We have climate action champion Nigar Arpadaray. We have met both of them in Copenhagen, in Berlin, especially in Bonn with our interactions. We will touch upon it later on. We also had brief discussion with Leila Hasanova, and at the Bonn talks in Bonn conference, we had for the first time met with Elmar Mamadov, the senior lead on co-lead on initiatives, and Shahriar Hajiev. The important thing is that we have also seen that there is a new international advisory board for COP29, and we have two local leaders in this process. Maimuna Sharif, former member of former mayor of Seberang Pride in Malaysia, but also a former executive UN Habitat Executive Director. Sorry that there should be a typo there. There should be a former or ex. Yes, ex is the former recognition of the former role. And Quezon City Mayor Josephine Belmonte is there. So we have increased in number. That's a great opportunity, and we'll make sure of this efforts. I will not go into details. That's why I would like to hear from Elmar Mamadov and particularly COP29 presidency announced the UN system to support COP29 presidency initiatives. And under the UN system, UN Habitat is assigned for the deliverables on urbanization, which is announced to be discussed on the 20th of November, the second week, towards the end of the second week. And a special draft declaration has already been circulated by COP29 presidency. And Elmar Mamadov and Leo will touch upon it. I would like to skip it now so that we focus on our topics. Um, you may remember we're running a roadmap since the beginning of the year. We are following the UN agendas inside UNFCCC, other UN agencies like Environment Assembly, Habitat Assembly, UN uh, COSOC, and General Assembly discussions. We are following the global events like G7, G20, and we are having our own initiatives, the LGMA-led initiatives, climate weeks in Belém, New York, London, or Daring Cities Forum, or Urban 7 or Urban 20 Summit. Obviously, these events are being updated, and we will have another updated version of the next 100 or the last 100 days to COP29 at the end of this presentation. June, July was particularly busy. Those who are involved in our community, you have received the daily bulletins. You have received the specific newsletters from these initiatives. So, in fact, we have been sharing these updates, but in this slide, we are trying to just capture them in one page. So, first of all, the CHAMP initiative, the legacy from COP29, COP28, we have a homepage for this initiative on the LGMA website. We will see that we have uploaded all the relevant documents, and this is giving us the opportunity that we can promote it better and demonstrate LGMA support to this process. Daring Cities 2024 Bonn Dialogue and the UN Bonn Climate Conference, which is called Start to by the 60th session, was very intense, especially in the first week. We have the first ever Champ Endorsers Roundtable. This was a closed meeting outside the UN space. This enabled us to have a frank discussion among the endorsers of the Champ, the national, the negotiators, both among themselves, but also with LGMA constituency. This was not webcasted. It was not an official agenda of UNFCCC. Therefore, we have seen such a very positive openness from Canada to Colombia, from Rwanda to Germany and Emirates. So that was showing that such meetings are valuable and that will be instrumental in the success of the champ. We had Daring Cities, an open public event hosted by ICLE City of Bonn. It was hosted in GIZ auditorium, followed by some breakout groups. The plenary sessions were webcasted. And that is important because neither the Champion Endorsers Roundtable nor the UNFCCC sessions were webcasted. So that's again showing us our chances that if we can create innovative opportunities, we can help UN and UNFCCC partners to expand their impact and outreach beyond, and that's what the role that LGMA can play. We had a UNFCCC dialogue, multi-level action dialogue with the two champions. We have other side events, especially ICLE and others, interventions in official sessions. And UN Habitat, just at the beginning of this mobilization, released the urban components. And I see just Leah joining us, and we have one slide for that. And we can also ask Leah to comment on it when we come to that slide. After Bonn, a week later, we have immediately went to Sao Paulo Urban Summit. It was together with ICLE World Congress, with Brazil Minister of Cities, messages from COP28 high-level champion, as well as Urban 20 with the G20 presidency, again, Brazil. Immediately, this was followed by Regions for General Assembly. And around the same date, we had Urban 7 statement to the G7 had leader statement. During these days, a very dynamic discussion was happening with a call to action for local leadership in CHAMP national implementation, which is CHAMP is an initiative of the national governments, and we would like to make sure local governments are at home also part of this process. And that was a process kicked off by Mayor of Bonn, ICLE's GEXCOM member on climate action and advocacy. And her call to action was positively responded by Germany, Brazil, and US. The, the National Local Government Association of Germany, Brazil, and US. We'll see this now. And we are July, one of the highlights that in New York, we have the High Level Political Forum. SDG 13 was a highlight, and we have contributed. The Global Task Force annually presents the report, and SDG 13 report was mainly received input from the LGMA constituency, and we had a huge mobilization there as well. A couple of screenshots from our LGMA website. And there are some more updates on the homepage. Again, this is the urban content of the NDC's report that we mentioned that UN Habitat released with Southern Denmark University, UNESCO co-chair, as well as support with UNDP. This was the latest analysis of the current, and it has even new features. Leah, we still have 10 more minutes for Elmar Mamadou. Maybe you can briefly touch upon the report before going to the COP29 agenda.
Absolutely. Thank you, Yunus. Apologies for joining a bit late, but I had a clashing webinar just before. So also good morning, everybody from Nairobi. Happy to give just a few comments on this. I mean, I think, I hope most of you have seen this map by now. So it's really a report that we launched in June at the SBs. It's an updated report, understanding where do we stand when it comes to the urban content of the NDCs. And so to say, the high level key numbers are really that 27% of NDCs have a strong focus on urban content. What does that mean? That means they have a section, either section dedicated to cities, or they really are seeing cities as a solution for climate change mitigation, adaptation, also in a response to that. 39% have moderate urban content, meaning that it's sprinkled throughout. There are some reference of the role of cities, and then no or low urban content. I don't think I need to explain what that means. So that means there's very little reference to cities throughout the report. Maybe also important and interesting, of course, to highlight is we've done also, you might have seen that, a little brief on CHAMP endorsing countries and their urban content that was published earlier this year. And what's actually interesting is that the numbers, I mean, this is now done on all the NDCs and the numbers of the CHAMP endorsing countries. So the 72 CHAMP endorsing countries, they actually look fairly similar spread, a little bit different, a couple percentages here and there, but overall also similar spread, meaning that collectively there is a big opportunity of seeing how now in these revised NDCs that are coming up, that of course many parties have a big opportunity to build on cities in order to help them achieve their national targets. And I think that's what we're all working towards collectively. Maybe also as an intel, we've been receiving a lot of questions and outreach on how the member states can increase the urban content of their NDCs in their next revision cycle. So that's, of course, very encouraging sign. There has also been called by the Secretary General to all the UN agencies to say a big push for support for these NDCs, to make them holistic, to make sure that they cover all the different sectors. So that's, of course, a process that is also ongoing, and really hoping that these NDCs can be the most ambitious that we've seen for all of our collective sake. As a last thing on this, I think is maybe a small caveat that I also like to share is, in addition to the urban content, there's also an analysis in there on finance and capacities and so on, where, for example, all the different NDCs make a reference to the importance of finance in order to achieve the NDCs at the national level, but only very few mention the importance of getting money into the local level in order to help achieve their NDCs. So I think that also means that there is a big disconnect in what is needed and what is actually being seen, and something that we hope we can also collectively move towards for the new revised NDCs. I'll stop here because I could keep on talking about this topic for a very long time. Back to you, Yunus.
Thanks, Leah. Indeed, this is the agenda for the next couple of months, because we all know if we want to achieve progress in the NDCs, the time is now, so that the more we talk about this, and we will see this in the upcoming calendar of activities, how we will progress on these agendas. Again, a screenshot from the Daring Cities webinar, Daring Cities newsletter. Here you can see the meeting room of with the UNFCCC high-level champions on multi-level action dialogue. This was the first time the multi-level action was an official agenda of the high-level champions. So, and we were very excited to have this full house and interest from parties, as well as the UN leadership. A couple of sharing moments from Sao Paulo, the ICLE World Congress, video messages from Razan Al Mubarak, COP28, and Maimuna Sherif, COP29 advisor, member of the COP29 advisory board, as well as advisor to ICLE EXCOM, and another family photo from Urban 20, which was this meeting not at the mayor level, but it was preparation for the draft declaration that will be announced at the Urban 20 Mayor Summit. This page shows the official documents adopted by the councils or committees of the three national associations of Germany: Deutsche Städtetag, Association of German Cities; FNP, National Front of Mayors of Brazil; and the US Conference of Mayors. Each of these documents have been kicked off by pioneering leaders in these leadership. In the case of Germany, it was the vice president of the Association of Cities, Mayor Katja Turner. In the case of Brazil, it was Axel Grell, the mayor of Niterói, who was the vice president of FNP, and but also a member of the EXCOM board member. In the case of U.S. Conference of Mayors, it was Mayor Buffalo, mayor of Columbia, who was chair of the Environment Committee, but also member of ICLE's North America Regional Executive Committee. So you can see how the message from ICLE's leaders engaged and very active in the UN space can then support their peers at the national level through their associations, and then design these resolutions. Each of these resolutions have slightly adjusted text, and that is what it's supposed to be because each of the national situations are different, priorities, mechanisms, and the demands are different. In the case of Deutsche Städtetag, it was a three-paragraph National Front of Mayors had a two-page document which is connected to their processes, and the U.S. Conference of Mayors has also a one-page document. The important is that those commitments is announcing to their national government that they are ready to support, they welcome their national government, they commend their national government, they announce their present readiness to support and engage in the drafting of the new round, and they also call to action to their own members that local and regional governments should also improve their existing plans in order to be compatible with the new MDCs and the Dubai outcomes or UAE consensus, including moving from local stock takes to town hall COPs, which is a flagship process that we will discuss more in the coming days and weeks. So, as we said, we would hope that we increase this minimum to all CHAMP endorser countries. All the endorsers of CHAMP could come up with such a document, national associations, and even we can go to other countries who have not endorsed the CHAMP, but through the National Local Government Association, they can make progress. I'm now getting close to the last part or the next part, which is the key messages from COP20 from the LGMA constituency. This was building on our experiences COP26 to COP27 and COP28 actually. Especially COP28 was very powerful. We have been working on this process since March. So we had announced a drafting committee. We have prioritized or we have announced our priorities. And then we have started to draft in collaboration with the working groups of the LGMA constituency. So we had drafting committees, but we also received inputs from our working groups. So my colleague Gökşen, who is one of those members of the drafting committee, will briefly touch upon the 10 highlights. The logic is that by the end of this week, we will circulate this text and other supporting documents across the LGMA constituency. We will start to work with our communications group so that they start preparing how this will be open for endorsement. Our goal is that by the end of August, we will start to announce this publicly, make this public. As of today, this document is not publicly available. So that then between August and September, especially at the New York City Climate Week, we can announce this with the initial endorsers, and the final list of endorsers will be announced at the beginning of the COP with the LGMA press conference. Gökşen, the floor is yours for the key messages of LGMA for the COP29.
Yeah, thanks, Yunus, and yeah, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone. So from the LGMA position, as Yunus mentioned, so building on last year's experience about kind of drafting some key messages and advocating for those messages to be reflected at the UNFCCC outcomes. So we are building on that experience and proposing some key messages to LGMA community while going to COP29 this year. So our position paper it's a 10-page document, which is basically building on where we are in the 10th year anniversary of the Paris Agreement as local and subnational governments, and then reminding a little bit the background, the state of the play, and then setting out a vision for the 10th year anniversary of the Paris Agreement, and then following it with the kind of call to action. And our call to action includes these 10 points that Yunus highlighted, which are very much aligned with the priorities of the COP29 agenda for this year. So we are referring to the UAE consensus document to accelerate delivery of the NDCs through inclusive, multi-level, and gender responsive and cooperative action. We are also kind of asking for a new ambitious, new collective quantified call on climate finance, which is also accessible for all levels of governments, including subnational and local governments. We are asking for the inclusion of local and subnational governments into the considerations of the wider financial reform, including multilateral development banks reform. We also kind of want a stronger voice for subnational governments in the global climate resilience framework, loss and damage fund operational guidelines, and also we want kind of the recognition of sustainable urbanization as a cross-cutting non-market approach. So building on the COP29 joint statement on climate, nature, and people, and also this year kind of climate COP will be following the COP16 on the biodiversity. So we want to kind of advocate for stronger synergies between climate mitigation, climate adaptation, nature-based solutions, biodiversity, but as well as SDGs. And also we are also kind of asking for the transparency, so the recognition and accountability framework, which is a kind of a follow-up of the Integrity Matters report that the UNSG kind of asked for a expert group to draft. We want kind of the vision of the Global Climate Action Portal to be reset to promote greater transparency, but at the same time reduce the reporting burden on subnational governments. We want now very much in line with the New York agenda and also the discussions about the Pact for the Future, the formalization of the local and subnational voices in the UN agenda. And we are also kind of finally in our 10th point, we are asking for the recognition of local and subnational governments as key partners and implementers of the just transition policies and programs. So all of these points include a little bit of messaging for us as the LGMA constituency members, but also a concrete text suggestion that we will advocate during COP29 to go into the final negotiation documents. And in terms of timeline, as Yunus mentioned, so we want to kind of get the LGMA comments in the course of August, September, and then launch the document for wider support from the LGMA constituency in September. And if I'm forgetting something, Yunus, please come in.
Thanks, Gökçen. Yes, indeed. These are key messages, but also supported because I think, especially with the community around CHAMP, that we have friendly countries who will be supporting us. It will be much easier also for us to present them our expectations so that they also support our positions in such negotiation agendas. And I know this is also something that the COP29 presidency will also like to enhance by creating additional channels between the constituencies and the presidency, so that it's also timely for us. I know shortly, Rebecca, I think Elmar has not joined us yet, so we can still make use of our time because we have two more slides. This is you remember the previous slide with the three colors: the blue UN agenda, the green LGMA agenda, and the yellow is the global agenda and the national agenda. Now we are a bit more streamlining so that what is the expectation of LGMA in the next 100 days towards COP29? Very briefly, we will start Daring Cities virtual forums. These are very helpful for us because many of the topics in the Daring Cities forum are helping us to advance in the negotiations and in the COP. Regional NDC forums are just announced. We will share the dates. This is more like a replication of regional climate week, which was cancelled. So it is important to engage in that. And in the initial discussions in March and June and May, LGMA was very strongly part of this discussion, especially with UNEP, UNFCCC, and NDC partnership. In the next couple of weeks, IPCC will start to receive from nations their nominations of lead authors for the special report on cities. We're very happy. Leah was among the urban community who was part of the scoping committee. So this committee report is now presented to IPCC plenary. It was adopted in Sofia, and now IPCC will invite or accept nominations from national governments, but also observers like ICLA and C40 can also nominate. So similar to the scoping meeting, we would try to make sure that we nominate diversity of our experts, but some of them would be even better if they were also by respective national governments, so that when the lead order pool is announced, there are more and more people who are close to our thinking or who are close to this concept, so that they can help us in the drafting of this process. Innovate for Cities will be in Montreal in early September. End of September will be the World Assembly of Local and Regional Governments as part of the UN Summit of the Future, and CHAMP, high-level political dialogue, as part of New York City Climate Week. In Europe, we will have an Aalborg Summit, mitigation work program, which we discussed in June in Bonn. We'll have the next dialogue focusing on urban systems, and this will be in October, early October, in Cairo, in Sharm el Sheikh. Pre-COP will be in Baku. Biodiversity COP16 will be in Cali. Colombia. G20 environment finance ministers will be in Washington. We would hope that there will be town hall COPs in the next couple of weeks to be expanded further. WOOF 12 will be in Cairo in the beginning of November. Similar dates, we will have the G7 Urban Ministerial and Urban 7 Mayor Summit, which we will continue to support as the Secretariat of the Urban 7, together with the Global Parliament of Mayors, as well as UN Habitat, also supporting the ministerial or urbanization. And then we'll reach the climate COP. We will have a press conference, as we said before. We will hope to secure our pavilion space, multi-level action and urbanization pavilion space, to be co-convened by ICLEI and UN Habitat. And then we will contribute also to the design and planning and delivery of the Urbanization Day on the 20th of November. Along these days, there will be an important G20 Social Summit, first ever G20 Social Summit in Rio, which will be followed by Urban 20 Mayors Summit. And after conclusion of Baku, we will continue with desertification COP16. And this is our last slide about the agenda of our constituency in the Biodiversity Convention, 16th Conference of Partners, 16th Conference of Parties. And this will be in the middle of this 2 weeks calendar. Each mechanism, each process has their own styles. In this case of biodiversity, we have advisory bodies of local and subnational governments. We have the joint summit. We had individual target for green public spaces. So these are relevant issues with us, and through our reporting platform, Cities with Nature and Regions with Nature, we will also support the process. I am now at the end of our presentation, let's say, together with Lea, Gökşen, and all the contributors from the LGMA constituency. Rebecca, Ariel, I'm seeing that I have some communication issues.
It looks to be back now. Leah, I think you can come in as you.
I was just gonna say,
seem to have
I was-
problems. Yeah.
I was just gonna say maybe until Yunus is back, just maybe to come in to say that just on these 100 days until COP now, of course, we lost the beautiful visual as well, is to say now this week the IPCC meeting is happening. I think afterwards we will know exactly how the special report will look like. I mean, member states have the opportunity to make additions, comments, cut out things and add things to this report. And afterwards, the nomination for authors will start. I think there has been collectively from everybody involved in the city community a big push ensuring that this report is not only authored by academics, but that it also considers the voice and the role of practitioners, that it really, so to say, also has them as a sounding board towards this IPCC process and for the special report. And I think everybody who has attended the IPCC meeting, the scoping meeting in Riga 2 months ago, and as one of the persons who has attended there, I can really say that everybody who was there in the room was really interested in hearing the voice of practitioners, of people who are working with cities, to ensure that this report hits the right tone and voice. And of course, we hope that now after Sofia, this will the spirit will be maintained also now that it goes through the member state approval. So that's going to be this week and next week, and afterwards the call for nomination for lead authors will start. And Yunus, I can see you're back. I just jumped in. I hope that was okay. And I just want to also to add, Innovate for Cities is of course also coming up in 6 weeks. We are incredibly excited about this. It's oversubscribed already, which I think showcases the massive interest that this topic is generating, the interest of having really practitioners and academics come together, identify where the gaps and challenges when it comes to cities and climate change, and then of course, the World Urban Forum also coming up this year in Cairo. So really hoping also we'll see a lot of you there. And Yunus, I don't know if there was anything else from you to add. You were cutting out in the last couple words of your intervention, but maybe also to add from my side, we are really hoping and working towards a pavilion collectively at COP29, again, as the space, as the global stage to bring all of us together. We're hoping to make this a reality. I mean, Elma hasn't joined yet, but I can just echo that from the COP29 presidency. The cities topic is really a priority. They're trying to put this front and center, and are incredibly interested in collaboration and making sure that this is a COP that hears and sees also the priorities from all the different stakeholders and particularly this constituency. I hope, I mean, he hopefully will walk us through the declaration that's out there, the draft declaration. But just as a word of encouragement, there is still opportunity to have a look at this, to leave your feedbacks, comments, ideas, and that's actually also very encouraged to echo this, because this is supposed to be a collaborative effort. So I know they are relying, and also I am personally relying on this community to make sure that everything, your priorities are also reflected in this declaration, that you can make suggestions of things, wordsmithing, words that need to be added, things that might also need to be deleted. So that's really an open invitation for that. Yunus, I don't know if there was anything else to add.
Thanks, Leah. I think these additional comments and updates were very helpful, and that's why we are jointly leading all these discussions with inputs from our partners. I am also seeing feedbacks in the chat box from our partners, mostly commenting on our achievements. So one of the topics that obviously we would like to see is the preparations from COP29 presidency, on how they will complement all these efforts. And I fully agree, Leah, that they have such a really passionate and very, very ambitious, but also very focused preparation. So I'm just informed that Elmar Mamadov will be joining. She just connected on WhatsApp saying that he is joining in 10 minutes. Let's hope this would give him the necessary time to share his updates. But of course, we will continue. We are hoping that he can also join us in the afternoon session. But we can also continue in the afternoon session with him. For those who may not be joining us in the afternoon, the recording of the afternoon session will also be available. He's just saying, I'm coming. I think if in the next 5 minutes we are not able to connect with Elmar Mamadov, maybe Leah, you can go through this declaration and especially how this connects, because I know in Bonn the COP29 presidents were mentioning about also an initiative to be a number of initiatives to be designed with the UN system. This document, that the declaration and this initiative, what is the relevance, or is it separate, or is it something different? Maybe you can guide us on that. And if you have any information about the Urbanization Day, we know, especially with the UN Habitat Assembly, UN Habitat Executive Board in May, that we have supported. There was a strong resolution from the board meeting to continue on search and to work on the secretariat and to continue with the ministerial. We are assuming that Urbanization Day will have the third round of this urban and climate ministerial. What else we could expect? Maybe you can also come on until okay, Mayor Elmar Modo says about he will join in the last 5 minutes. So, Leah, let's start with you, and Elmar Modo can complement so that we make the best use of our time. But before, I'm just asking if any of our colleagues have any burning questions. I see a message from one of the participants who are inviting us from a university in Ljubljana that you would like to connect to us. We will be responding to her. You already responded. Carl Wright, our colleague from Commonwealth Local Government Forum, met in Colombo, Sri Lanka in June, which I was able to make a presentation on climate and LGMA. That's great, Carl. Congratulations. So Commonwealth Heads of State, Heads of Government meeting in Apia, Samoa, on 21, 26th of October. Hopefully also the new UK government definitely will be proactively and globally engaged. Carl, it's very valuable that you mentioned it. In the previous webinar, we were discussing about what could be the expectation from the UK. We are hearing positive signals. Let's hope that UK is not the only G7 country who has not endorsed Trump. Let's hope that this moves forward as quick as possible. And Samoa is also relevant because one of the regional NDC forums will be in Samoa in end of August or mid-August. Carl, we will circulate the dates. So the office in Commonwealth Local Government Forum contacts or office in Samoa could definitely be good to connect forward. Eva from CMR is asking, are we around the 20th of November Urbanization Day? Maybe this is a good segue to Leah so that she can share the updates from the planning side of the COP29 agenda.
All right, let me jump in, and I hope Alma will be able to join us shortly to complement on some of these things. Maybe to say, UN Habitat has been working very closely with the COP29 presidency on the conceptualization of the cities initiative, which at this stage is right now, it's called an initiative, but it is the form of a declaration. The idea is that it is a declaration to be signed by ministers with the support of local leaders and parliamentarians. So really something that would be very innovative in the way of putting together a declaration. What it is in content, and Yunus, you can maybe there you go. You're reading my mind. Put the text up, but so to say, it's on the one hand encouraging national leaders, subnational leaders to enhance multi-level climate action, to work across different themes. Different topics and sectors when it comes to advancing climate change mitigation and adaptation. So that's pretty much, I think none of this is new in the first part. It's also recalling the contribution of cities, the importance of city networks and LGMA. It's recalling the Paris Agreement and so on. And then really, so to say, the meat of this declaration is that it is trying to call upon stronger partnerships, particularly among UN agencies, MDB, and philanthropic organizations with this finance angle, especially considering, and this is building up on many of the conversations that I think many of us have been having around we also need to be able to ensure that this topic of cities and getting money into cities is also anchored well within the finance space. We've been seeing a strong interest from MDBs to support ongoing efforts. They're identifying ways of how to do this. This would, of course, be a way that these efforts could be complemented, trying to really bring this topic of finance in cities more to the MDB agenda, as well as also to different UN agencies as well. I think there's also a stronger and stronger interest from the UN system to contribute to the ongoing efforts, and this would be an opportunity to do so. As a second thing, it's and this definitely will need some wordsmithing. There is an interest by the COP29 presidency to make a stronger link between the COPs, the WWFs, and all the other big events that are going on, including the World Environment Day. I'm also considering that Azerbaijan is going to host the World Environment Day next year. 2026.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
2026.
No.
Apology.
It's no. I think 2025 is World Environment Day and 26 is World Environment Forum. Correct?
Yes, you might be right. To be confirmed.
Yeah.
Don't take that as a 100% face value. I hope Elma will be able to clarify.
No.
I might be mixing up.
World
I think it's
Environment
both
is
in
confirmed.
2026. Yeah, it's confirmed.
Okay.
It's confirmed.
Yeah.
It's confirmed that Azerbaijan will host it, but I'm slipping my mind of whether it's 2025 or 2026.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's the part where I'm like, please don't take me at face value. I can confirm in a second. But either way, lots of the environmental and cities and climate discussions will be taking place in Azerbaijan. They're, of course, trying to really ensure that we can connect these events better, going through a UNFCCC perspective. So the idea is to have an urban ambassador that could serve, so to say, side to side with also similar to the high level champion in that role, to really to connect these dots, between these different events. That's one of the considerations, but of course we'll also need to see how that is complementary or could be potentially combined also with the special envoy under CHAMP, because of course I think there's no interest in duplicating these efforts from the COP29 presidency side. I think these are the two main things, really highlighting this interest to connecting the dots between the different COPs, between the different events, and that would also be reflected in this declaration. And I'm sure Elma will be able to go into a bit more detail with this. This would then be coming out of, again, please do comment on this. This is supposed to be a collaborative effort. In case you haven't received the link, please reach out to me. I'm happy to share it. It's an online document. It's getting a little bit messy, but of course we're really trying to work with the presidency to take all of these different comments and feedbacks and inputs into consideration. The idea is that, please.
Just to clarify on that. So this document for participants of this meeting, this document is not public yet, but presidency has circulated by an attached document to members of UN and national government and UN system, plus LGMA. And the document you refer is that the same document that was circulated by attachment in a Word, but this is the comments. I mean, how do you want to make that process? It would be good to understand how it would feed. Do you want us to present an LGMA position, or each of them provides their input separately?
Both ways are absolutely fine. And maybe just to clarify, there is an online Google Doc, and that's the one where it's getting a little bit messy because it has indeed been circulated to UN agencies, MDBs, and LGMA. The document is not public as such. It is really right now been shared for in good faith with these partners for their comments and feedbacks. So either participants here can add it to the online document. What?
Let me clarify one thing. We circulated only document as attachment to the LGMA.
Mhm.
We did not circulate the Google file. We can do this after this webinar because I wasn't aware that would be what was the mechanics of this process. But we can do this. And actually, the whole logic was that if you read in the screen, it says that feedbacks by 22nd of July. We're already over that, but Elmar Mamadov Elmar Bey knows that it's a timeline that could be a bit flexible, hopefully, so that maybe we can think about a week or so. And after this webinars, we can send the links and as well as share this link that you have. Because of such a short time frame, we can make it free. Everyone can comment, and then they decide. But we may also say some of the basics that we collectively agree, so that it is positioned. From my side, what I first read, obviously, we have all discussed in Bonn. You may remember that Sharm el Sheikh was putting urbanization into the radar of climate community. Dubai was putting multi-level on the priority, and this will be the finance COP, and therefore we were saying that this could be putting finance to those efforts. Therefore, I think an investment partnership sounds good, but how much this new abbreviation, because it's not multi-level, it's multi-sectoral actions partnership for healthy cities, and obviously you would immediately expect that our partners from regional governments, subnational governments, they will immediately say, where are we? Probably they would react along these lines. And again, on this issue about the urban ambassador, I've seen a previous version of it. I'm still not very clear. And by the way, LGMA is not recognized in anywhere other than this paragraph. So I think we would propose that we have another section which refers to LGMA as well, so that if the urban ambassador is removed, LGMA is not lost. And I think if you make that logic, the champ special envoy was only for GCOM, whereas GCOM or Champ has much more things. So there's no special envoy under Champ at the moment. I think the important thing is that what will be the role of this urban ambassador in the whole process? Probably this will be the question that will come. But since this is the first draft, I think we're just in the discussions on it. And for me, most important part that we should all discuss is really how this question of Eva. We are aware the close dates of Urban 20, and we're also aware that Urban 20 is just a subset of the whole LGMA. But the point is, there are almost no financial commitments, neither from Azerbaijan, and it's normal because it's a global south. We were all expecting they would not have financial resources, but the other partners, traditional partners, are also not giving any hint for supporting our mobilization. So how we will address this? Obviously, those who are not Urban 20, they would be much easier to come. But how will we secure their presence? How will we make sure their participation? Maybe Eva, to respond to you, we would like to keep the pavilion for 2 full weeks, and hopefully that you can contribute by reserving a slot. Obviously, 20th of November will be a peak day, but let's all remember when it's the last day, it's also too late. And we also have to make sure that on the first week, we also have to create noise. We have to create some documentation, because the drafting process starts early in the beginning of the first week. So we cannot have the luxury to wait until the 20th of November. 20th of November should be maybe, let's say, the celebration, or however we present it. These are the points we should take into account, I suggest. Back to you, Leo, or anyone else who wants to respond. Meanwhile, I see that we are out of our time, and Mr.
Elma has joined us. Maybe Elma would like to.
Great, fantastic. I didn't see it immediately. Mr. Elmar Mamadov, it's a great pleasure to you joining us. If you wish, we can immediately unmute you so that you can intervene. And I would request our participants to spend a couple of more minutes so that they can listen to you.
Thank you very much, first of all, for this webinar, and sorry that I am late. I wanted to join early, but I will join also to other webinar this evening for the whole hour. Regarding your question on what will be the difference between MAP Urban Ambassador and also Special Envoy of CHAMP. Because Special Envoy of CHAMP, it is, from the title, is responsible only for CHAMP. But first difference from Special Envoy of CHAMP, it will be that global MAP ambassador, maybe we can also add word global. A global map ambassador will be responsible for, first of all, for coordination and also for linking three different global urban forums. First is World Urban Forum. Second is urban processes within the framework of COPs. And third one is UNEP activity, particularly in the framework of World Environment Day. And take into account that Baku also will host in 2026 World Urban Forum and also World Environment Day. It perfectly fits also with our national priority on urban diplomacy and to keep it, to promote this issue at the global level. It will be first difference that this ambassador will link these three global forums. Second, that our purpose not to forget about the previous urban initiatives, because last year it was CHAMP. It is important indeed, a very important initiative where Azerbaijan also joined. But we have also a very important also initiative of Egypt, search initiative. That's why we need to ensure continuity, complementarity, synergy between all these initiatives. And this ambassador will play important role on this issue. Originally, we have idea to make urban champion within the framework of COP. But then we decided that if we will start to specific topics, because now we have two champions, a high-level champion and also we have youth champion. If you will start with specific champion, it means that we will have a lot of champions. That's why we decided to make it MAP Urban Ambassador. Maybe we can add global. Also, it could be, we can also think about actual mayors from host country of World Urban Forum, for example. It could be also nominated to make to make strong ownership, or we can discuss this issue with LGMA. Concerning LGMA, mentioning only in this paragraph, we can also add LGMA to the beginning in the at the first paragraphs of where we are speaking about consultations, etc. We can integrate also to this part. On financial issue, indeed, COP29 is climate finance COP, and everybody expectation from all is finance issue. I think that MAP investment partnership, maybe we can also we can think about a little bit modify this title to make it a MAP partnership for climate urban finance. It could be like this: climate urban finance or MAP investment partnership for climate and urban, but MAP partnership for climate urban finance. And through your network also, through multilateral development banks, through philanthropic organizations, to mobilize resources. You are right, Azerbaijan is a developing country from the global south. Azerbaijan is not a donor country, but we can mobilize. Azerbaijan was chairman of the non-aligned movement also for last 3-4 years. Now we in COP also we would like to continue to be involved actively into the climate diplomacy and particularly to urban diplomacy, global urban diplomacy. That's why we are creating this new initiative and also these new tools, not just for COP presidency, but for a long time. And that's why we would like to stay to make it. For example, in the case of climate and health, now we are thinking to create a new coalition of co-presidencies because health topics started in UK from Attach Initiative. We are creating now a coalition of 5 co-presidencies, COP26, COP27, 8, 9, 30. And this coalition, these 5 co-presidencies will promote it, continue promote. In the future, newcomers also will be part of this coalition. The same could be created in the field of urban development also. It could be added also this element because it started from Egypt. Now we have 4 co-presidencies on this topic, and it could be also one of the new elements of this initiative. I think that multi-sectoral approach is important indeed. I personally worked a lot with cities. When I served also in our embassy, I was responsible for decentralized cooperation between cities, and also here in our country, I was responsible for EBRD Green City project for one of our city, for second city, was directly involved. That's why I know from my personal experience that not only multi-level partnership, but also multi-sectoral partnership is important, because Minister of Energy, Minister of Economy, Minister of Transport, all of them involved into the urban issues. We need just to also tackle this issue. And we tried through this initiative to bring a new 5 sectors which never been tackled by COP27 or COP28. To tackle these 5 issues, and also to tackle new elements in the second part of the draft on MAP Urban Ambassador, and also MAP Partnership for Climate Urban Finance. Thank you.
Mr. Memorov, Elmar Bey, at the outset, I think on behalf of LGMA, we had the pleasure of meeting you personally during SB60s, but through this webinar, I think we'd like to once again commend your leadership as Azerbaijan, and your personal passion and commitment for urban agenda in the climate space. And I think that's really great assurance for all of us. It's also a very good progress that you have advanced in this document, and we were just discussing that maybe it would be good if we can be a bit more flexible with the deadlines for comments, so that we can still make use of time, because last week was not too much easy for us to start circulating this. One point, and we will be continuing to discuss with you in the afternoon. I think that will be good, so that you can much more go into details. This idea of innovative ideas, I think it's good that you are bringing this, so that we can have a really the opportunity to think out of the box. And probably we could also discuss this with the Brazilian colleagues, because we were in Sao Paulo. Minister of Cities is a powerful actor in the Brazilian government, and we are aware they're also talking a lot about how this could be a priority in the COP30. So, and also the way that the high-level champions, they deal with this issue, the ambassador role. We should maybe think about it and come up with this. Maybe next iterations could have more ideas. One question that was here, and I know we are late, but maybe in just one more minute, about the expectations on this 20th November and the planning. The biggest question is for many of our delegations is the in-person participation throughout the 2 weeks, and how to navigate and how to make sure, and also how to diversify, knowing that many of the urban 20 mayors will not be able to easily come. Maybe they will send a representative like Mayor of Rio or Mayor of Istanbul. But we should also say that there are a lot of cities and regions who are not necessarily part of Urban 20, and that could be an opportunity for them to be active in Baku. But without resources, without opportunities, it would be very difficult. So these are the points we're all discussing together. So back to you as maybe your closing remarks for this round.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We can discuss this issue on particularly for CEST countries and for LDCs countries we have in our we have some plans, and we can in detail discuss this issue. And now we are dealing with this drafting. We can prolong also deadline in order to allow you to collect all these proposals. Maybe if we can define 1st of August, I think that it could be okay for all of you, and because we would like to make it maximum comprehensive, maximum inclusive process.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I think knowing that we are already over 10 minutes, but I think that was very, very helpful for us, very encouraging, very motivating. And once again, wish you the best of luck. We know presidencies are having hard times to manage these complex processes and arrangements, logistical as well. Good luck to all your work. In the afternoon, we'll talk about again. We'll also meet with your colleague Shahriar and the stakeholder engagement unit. With this, I don't want to open the floor for other participants, but I've seen some of them were reacting to you. We will compile all these and continue this discussion. And once again, thank you for your participation and your support to our work. All the speakers of this round, Leah, Gökşen, and all the participants of this call, have a nice day. We'll stay in touch and we'll meet again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yunus. Thank you, everybody.